And Coach, coming off a Saturday where it was there for the taking for you guys, but just a couple of dry spells toward the end of each half. And off of the triple overtime game, you often expect maybe fatigue, but it was kind of the reverse where maybe the girls were just playing a little bit too fast that led to some early mistakes.
Absolutely. I think fatigue was expected by many. I talked to Coach Van Chancellor before the game, and he mentioned a triple overtime and expected the ladies to be tired. But the girls actually came out with energy. They were prepared, of course, facing Central Arkansas for the second time. They were aware of their personnel and exactly what needed to happen. But we just had those dry spells. We did. We had dry spells where we didn't put the ball in the basket, and then there were some spells where we were fortunate to where we weren't scoring and they weren't scoring as well, which is not good either. We had the opportunity several times when it was a 6-point game to close that 6-point gap and take a lead, and I think we went about both teams about 7 minutes almost without scoring. So that kind of hurt us in the end. And as well as our rebounds. The rebounds, I feel or believe, at the end, more than the dry spell, the rebounds is what cost us the game.
And talking about defending Maggie and how you guys did it against her, she was able to go off early and get some shots off of screens, but you guys really adjusted to that well as the game went along.
Absolutely. The game plan was to face guard her, and that's what we began doing with different players to absolutely just not even let her touch the ball. But unfortunately, they ran our face guarded person into some screens, and she still was able to get some touches very early. So from there, we changed from the face guard back to our zone. In our zone, we trapped her every time she got the ball with two people and depend upon our rotation. So that worked out pretty well and forced other people to get involved in their offense. And we did get the stops, but as I stated before, we didn't capitalize on the stops.
And we continue to talk about the maturation and the growth process of Haley and what she's been able to do. 6 for 9 for 13 points after you mentioned on Thursday, even though she was able to have 11 points and 14 rebounds, not her best offensive night, a lot more efficient on Saturday.
She definitely was an inside presence, and with her starting, keeping her out of foul trouble is a big thing, but also being able to get her going on offense is very huge. And she hit the first basket of the game for us, and once she hits that first basket, that really gives her confidence and motivation to get out of the gates into a good start. So I was very pleased with the way that she came out of the gates for that game, as well as Randy Brown. I think starting them together versus Central Arkansas, that's the first time those two have started together, was a good combination, and going to try that combination again come this Thursday versus Texas A&M Corpus.
And Corpus, of course, the team that you faced here late January, and just talk about rematching against them. And you talked about not overcommitting to a player, and even though you guys were able to control Shea Weaver, Olivia Fati was able to get her numbers plus some, and just talk about kind of the adjustments that you look for on Thursday.
Absolutely. Again, that was late January, and I'm quite sure that's still fresh in Weaver's mind, though, that she didn't have a great game. But we're going to try to contain her as well, and then contain their post players on the inside as well. I feel or believe, as we've watched that game film from January, that we miss opportunities that we had in transition offense, and we have to do a better job on transition defense on Thursday. We know what we need to do personnel-wise. We know who their scores are, so we're not going to forget about them out there. But we're going to focus on the whole team concept on what we need to do to get this W on Thursday.
And talk about defending against a team that really doesn't take, really is not efficient from the three-point line, and really their three-point shots rely on 2 or 3 players throughout the roster, and just kind of talking about defensively how you adjust there.
Absolutely. With that in mind, knowing that they don't have a lot of three-point shooters out there on the floor, of course we're going to rely on our zone again. We're going to rely on some of our zone, but as we watch the film, we guarded them pretty well in man as well. So we're not going to just stick to one type of defense. We're going to do some man, and we're going to do different types of things when they go on their ball screens and trying to get Weaver open and trying to get the high-lows. We have a plan for how we're going to guard that. So again, I think it has worked for us with the changing up of our defenses and keeping teams on their toes, but I just think the very key to everything is capitalizing on those stops, whether we're in man, whether we're in zone, whether we're face guarding or not. We have to capitalize once we get those stops.
All right, Coach, thank you very much.
You're most welcome.